In the year 1285, a common thief named William Demeron made the biggest mistake of his life. He stole a loaf of bread and 3 silver coins from a merchant in London. What happened next was neither a quick hanging nor an easy beheading. No, William was about to face something far worse. A punishment so deliberate, so painfully designed, that it took 3 full days to complete, and during all 3 days, William remained almost completely conscious. This wasn't just a punishment. It was a spectacle, a warning. Medieval England's way of showing the world what happens to someone who dares steal from the wealthy. And what you're about to hear will make you grateful that you weren't born in the 13th century. Medieval England was struggling with a serious problem: theft. Theft everywhere. In a world where people owned almost nothing, where a single cow could be a family's entire livelihood, theft wasn't just a crime, it was a threat to society's foundation. Authorities had to set examples. They needed punishments so terrifying that even the poorest soul would think 100 times before stealing. So they created a punishment where the goal wasn't death, but maximum pain, maximum humiliation, and a public show as large as possible. William was caught, and his punishment began immediately. Not with torture, but with humiliation. He was stripped naked and stood in the town square. His hands were tied behind him with a rough rope that dug into his skin. Crowds gathered quickly. Medieval people were obsessed with public punishments because that was their entertainment.
William was forced onto a wooden platform. The town crier loudly read every detail of his crime, what he stole, which laws he broke. Often, families were forced to stand nearby so they too could be humiliated. This wasn't just mental torture for William. It was a message to the entire society. Look, this is what will happen to you if you break the rules. The purpose of the first day was simple: to brand him permanently as a thief. Even if he survived by some miracle, people should be able to recognize his crime instantly. A metal rod with the letter T for thief was being heated in burning coals. When it turned red, then orange, then nearly white hot, 2 guards stretched William's hand on a wooden plank, and the glowing rod was pressed onto his palm. For a full 10 seconds, the smell of burning flesh and William's screams filled the air. The pain was indescribable. His skin, nerves, and muscle were destroyed. But this was only the beginning. No ointment, no bandage. They wanted the wound to become infected. They wanted him to suffer through the night. After the branding, he wasn't taken to a prison. He was locked into a wooden pillory, a structure that trapped his head and hands so he couldn't sit or lie down. William stood like that the entire night, his hand burning, body exhausted, cold wind cutting through him. But the worst part was the crowd. Passers-by threw rotten vegetables, animal waste, stones, anything they could find. Children were encouraged to throw things too. They said it taught good lessons. He stood there for 16 hours, unable to sleep, unable to protect himself. And this was only the first day. Day 2. At sunrise, he was taken out of the pillory and tied to a post in the square. Then came the executioner, holding the cat o' nine tails, a whip with 9 leather cords, each tipped with small metal hooks. By law, William was to receive 40 lashes. The first lash tore the skin off his back. By the 10th, deep wounds appeared. By the 20th, he fainted. Cold water was thrown on him to wake him. By the 40th lash, his back looked like raw meat. These whips didn't just tear skin. The metal hooks dug into flesh, sometimes down to the bone. But the executioners were trained experts. They knew exactly how to strike so that a man wouldn't die, but would feel hellish pain. William needed to survive until the 3rd day. No treatment for the wounds, no mercy. He lay through the night burning with fever and agony. The church taught that earthly pain purified the soul. People believed torture wasn't a sin, it was holy. That belief made everything even more terrifying.
Day 3. The final torture. William could barely stand. His right hand had swollen to twice its size. The infection had spread through his arm. His back was rotting from the lashes. He hadn't eaten properly for 3 days. He was dragged out of his cell and taken outside the town to the execution field. Crowds gathered along the way. Some spat on him. Some cried. Others simply watched, feeling lucky it wasn't them. On the platform stood the gallows, but William wasn't to be hanged normally. Thieves had their own special final torture. He was pushed off with a rope around his neck, but the rope was measured just long enough so he wouldn't die, just enough for him to choke. He thrashed, kicked, gasped, his face turning purple, but he wasn't allowed to die. After a few minutes, he was taken down. Next, he was tied to a wooden board and dragged along the ground. This was called drying. His infected back scraped against dirt, stones, and gravel, every wound reopening. Then came the real punishment, his hand. The same hand that had stolen, the same hand branded with the T. His hand was to be cut off slowly with a saw, not a quick chop, no kindness. The saw ripped through flesh, tendons, bone, one stroke at a time. William's screams no longer sounded human. To keep him from dying of blood loss, hot tar was poured onto the stump, not to save him, but to keep him alive long enough to suffer. Finally, he was hanged a second time, this time fully. He died. But even in death, his punishment continued. His body was left hanging for days, so people would see it every day and feel fear. Crows picked at his flesh. The smell of rot spread in the air. When the body collapsed, the bones were left there as an eternal warning. This punishment wasn't madness, it was the law. The Statute of Westminster of 1275 prescribed brutal penalties for theft. Stealing anything worth more than 12 pence could mean death. How the death was delivered depended on local authorities, and they turned this 3-day torture into a standard practice. Hundreds of records show these punishments were normal, not rare. Why? Because in medieval economics, losing even a single cow could destroy a family. The ruling class protected the rich by terrifying the poor. This wasn't just punishment, it was control. Women suffered equally horrific penalties. Sometimes they were burned alive because officials claimed hanging exposed a woman's modesty. Centuries of cruelty were justified in the name of morality. Executioners passed their craft through generations. They knew where to strike, how much to strike. Their art was not killing a man, but breaking him piece by piece while keeping him alive. Crowds treated it as entertainment. Children were brought to watch. People celebrated because this was considered justice. Sometimes a victim survived the 3-day torture. They were seen as chosen by God and released, but their body and life were ruined forever.